Sorry, peeps, I had a phone call. It never ends. I'm a dad, and I had to arrange some stuff to get the kids some snow pants. Is what it is. So, I had to make the phone call anyway, but, that's just life for you, right? Anyway, when I learn how to edit, I'll be able to edit that kind of stuff out. In the meantime, oh well, right? I gotta keep the phone on because I got a kid. And, he's always freaking doing something stupid at school or getting hurt or some shit, it seems like. So, that's just what it is. Anyway, no biggie. So, like I was saying, imagine in the age of sail, with the superstitions they had, and the technology they had, and imagine just how it would be. Everything would be freaky. Everything would be... It would be mysterious and alien, There's a reason why the sailors of old, had all their superstitions and had all that kind of stuff, going on. Because that's just, that's what they thought. So we're gonna have to draw, I want to draw, an island here with some kind of... we'll put a pitchfork in here. Yeah, put a pitchfork. And some kind of thing going on, some kind of creature. Some kind of creature. Gotta have the old creatures. Yeah, that would have been interesting being back in them days. I wouldn't want to be back in them days. It would suck too, not having any kind of, medical, help or, anything like that. The way it was back then. You got a scratch and you died of freaking sepsis or something. So yeah, it wouldn't be super awesome. But I think it would be cool to a degree, Cool to a degree. I do appreciate living in the modern age. Like I said, it's nice to, know you're not going to die from a cut. I got back issues, so I got an MRI ordered up, boom, like that, and I'll have it done on the 12th, but it's to live in a day and age where you can do that is amazing. And I think we got to be thankful for that kind of thing. Most people aren't. They bitch about it. And I get it. But I try not to. I try to think, there's a lot of other people out there that can't even get, medical care when they need it. So I'm not going to bitch about, anything really. We got our generic sea monster here. Gotta have a generic sea monster. And I'll be touching this up, with more detail here and stuff too, people. So we got our generic sea monster. Be like one of those sandworms from Beetlegeist. Yeah, I just think it would be cool to go on some kind of adventure. More of an adventure than you can get into these days, because the world is what it is, right? It's a shithole. It's not a total shithole, don't get me wrong, but the world has something to be desired, I guess. I can't complain though. Try not to. Life could be a hell of a lot worse. I could be, it could be a lot worse. So I try not to complain. I guess I just have that angst, that want to do something more than is possible. That's why I've always kind of gravitated towards, Star Trek and the Star Wars and things of that nature, because there's no way to get anything close to that in our world, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, just can't do it. So, things like this appeal to me. Some great adventure. Star Trek. My heaven is Star Trek, honestly. That's my heaven. You know, if I died and I did everything right and I could just live in a Star Trek universe that's real, I'd be fine with that. And I wouldn't need to be like Q either. It wouldn't be like I need to live in the Star Trek universe as long as I can snap my way in and out of whatever. No, just being like a regular person who can exist and explore that universe would be great. Hell, I'd even settle for some kind of Matrix style thing where they just plug me into it. That'd be really cool, actually. Then I could like exist in the Star Wars and Star Trek universe at the same time. I put thought into this. The Star Trek universe and the Star Trek galaxy and the Star Wars galaxy. I'm gonna do a little sidetrack for a second. Like if you look at the galaxy, you cut it into fourths like they do in Star Trek, the Federation and all the stuff that they have is like this much space. Yeah, the Romulans are over here and the Klingons and everybody else, but like basically the whole Star Trek universe that we know about is right there, right? In Star Wars, the galaxy of Star Wars is roughly the same size of the Milky Way, and it's a spiral galaxy. And you know, you got like the middle of the galaxy, and you got like Coruscant, the head's right here. And because of the hyperdrive getting everywhere so fast, you know, the Star Wars galaxy is pretty much like all of that. Like all of this is populated, you know, and they can get wherever they want with the hyperdrive really quick. So, like in a simulation, if you took everything with all the extensive lore about the Star Wars universe and took this as the unknown regions right here, and you just took the Federation and you just like plopped it right here, you could exist with everything in the Star Trek in the Star Wars galaxy, and then go out and explore the Star Wars galaxy while you're at it. And hell, there's even room in the unknown regions for other, you know, you could have a little world right here, which is, you know, Middle Earth for Lord of the Rings. You could have the Dune universe right here. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Get on it, marketers. There's a lot of money to be made here for boomers, and not boomers, but, you know, people like me that are becoming boomers, getting older. So, there's money to be made. But yeah, man, it's like I would gladly plug into some, you know, universe like that. That'd be super cool. Okay, so what else are we gonna do here? I'll make more, like I said, I'll make more detail here in a little bit when I, you know, when I do. I'm gonna draw one more big honkin' island over here. And this one's gonna be called Finger Island because it's got all these fingers. I don't know. That's just what he came up with just now. And this one's going to be kind of long and skinny in some places like that. And then branching off again to something big. It comes like all the way back over. And then it comes out to there. And have it go like that. And then over and like that. That kind of looks like a big island. And then again, we should have some little island offshots. I think who will live here will be a large, advanced civilization of people that like Dinotopia. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to steal one from somebody else for this particular thing. And this is going to be the land of Dinotopia. If you know, you know. It's a cool book back in the day. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. Time for some details and whatnot. Alrighty, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? Let me see here. Oh, I got bent over my back. I don't think that's working all that well. Not really. Some of these pens, I just eat up pens and they go through them so quick. Even when I'm not drawing a lot, I go through them quite easily. So we want to darken up our earth here a little bit. Sorry, sometimes I gotta hold my breath while I'm drawing to get fine details and such. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so awesome, man. Go on a journey. Think about the people back in the past. Kind of balls that would take. The courage, you know, for everybody involved, men and women. Because it wasn't just men doing this shit, women were doing it too. But think about being like part of, you know, Homer or something, you know. I know that's just a story, but that would be crazy. Out there checking out all these islands you've never, you know, it would be like going to space back then. Be like going to another universe, you know, hopping on a boat and traveling for years in some cases to get places. You know, it's a real leap of faith. Even, you know, back in the day, coming over to the New World, you know, even after they had figured stuff out and figured out trade routes and all of that, you know, that was still a hell of a thing to do. You know, and the amount of courage that takes is really something. It really is something, man. Alright, so we're gonna kind of hatch our islands here on Earth. There's Australia and some of these random islands. But yeah, just think about that, you know, and all the journeys that every people, all the people on Earth have made. Just think of the overwhelming amount of courage that takes to do something like that. It's just crazy to me, you know. You know, courage and curiosity and maybe even a little foolishness, you know, to, you know, get in a ship knowing the risks. You know, it'd be like somebody hopping in one of Elon's ships and going to fucking Mars right now. You know, it all looks good on a CGI and on a YouTuber's channel, but like when you're really doing it, it's gonna be different. We'll put some like waves and stuff around here, just so you know it's a landmass. We got Cuba. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I was born in the wrong time, you know? You look around and you're like, well, if I was born 100 years ago, the world would have still been a big place. Still could have done some amazing stuff, but it seems like it's just so small now. You know, it just seems so done. It's been done. You know, and that's crazy to me. And I feel like we're in this this like weird point in time where, you know, where we are after, like, the whole world has been pretty much mapped and discovered, and we're on the brink of going to space, but, you know, still at a point where, like, someone like me is never going to get there. So it's like, it's just, you know, it's crazy. I don't know. To me, it's crazy. That's all. That something like that exists. Alright, so some of these islands, I'm going to go over them again like this, just to kind of make them look a little more black and stuff. Yeah. You know, off topic a little bit. I'm waiting on a couple things to start a Kick channel, and it's gonna have kind of something to do with art as well, but more of like what I'm doing right now, where I'm just rambling and talking about all sorts of stuff. And yeah, I think that's gonna be interesting. You know, I like talking. I was a bartender for a long time. You know, I got used to talking with people and being kind of a cheap psychiatrist or something, you know, for people. And some of it was enjoyable, some of it wasn't, you know, when you're a bartender and you got the same. I worked at like a regular bar. I didn't work at like a college bar, which I'd much rather work at a regular bar. You know, the money might be better at a college bar, but It's just different. It's so fake, you know? To me, at least, it is. Fake, fake, fake. So I like hole-in-the-wall bars, and you learn a lot. And you talk to a lot of people, and you get a feel for people, and it's a good thing, you know? But I like talking with people. I like talking about stuff, you know? I think the world is so kind of fucked right now, for lack of a better term, that it's kind of cool to escape a little bit. You know, that's why this kind of stuff is interesting to me. And you could call it escapism, you know, who knows if it's real, because it kind of goes into a lot of that other stuff. You know, when you open your door to this, you got to open your door to the whole Tartaria thing, and the mud flood, and just the fact that history might not be what we're told. I mean, just think about your own life. Have you ever like known a story or known something about somebody, or were at a place when something happened in your town, and then the people started saying, well, this is what happened, and they're, you know, it's things can be, you can learn the wrong stuff, I guess is what I'm saying. Is like, if you teach something long enough, it doesn't matter what you teach. Does that make sense? Like, if people will just believe it. So, you know, who the hell knows? With technology getting better, I'm just waiting for the day when some YouTuber or TikToker or something decides to try to invade Antarctica. I mean, it's already been done once on accident. Well, that's what the kid said. He said his plane had some issues, and he flew from Argentina to Antarctica. You know, got his plane impounded and got bitched at for several hours, but I believe he got to get out of there. But, you know, that was just barely making it to Antarctica. You know, we're told Antarctica is a big, huge, you know, Australia-sized continent on the bottom of the planet where nothing is there, except for some researchers. I don't even know if there's any wildlife there. Is there, you know, I think the penguins and everything. Well, yeah, there's penguins, I believe, down in South America. So, I don't know. So, I do not know. All I know is that if you tell somebody something long enough, they'll believe it. I think just anybody watching the news